Raiders elevating trade market for Derek Carr. Quarterback says goodbye, looks forward to a new team. Man, after making a big splash for Davante Adams, and the Raiders are actually not doing too overly bad. It's literally just been some mediocre stuff, some coaching stuff could be changed. I do think Derek Carr is kind of a problem. I know they gave him a contract last year, but I do agree that he's part of the problem. They have a pretty decent talent overall to not be where they are. So they do need to do something there, which we'll kind of have to wait and see how that pans out. The Bengals preparing for a playoff game with injuries to an offensive line. We're still going to be who we are. Well, Joe Burrow has already proved, and the whole Bengals team, I shouldn't just say Joe Burrow, but he made things work with being the most sacked quarterback and still being able to move the offense enough to get into a Super Bowl. So obviously that's just huge. If they have some problems with the offensive line, that could spell for destruction. But overall, he's already proven that he can do it with a lesser offensive line anyway. Going from there to, we have the Bears name Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren as president and CEO. So I guess so for Bears fans, you definitely have some big stuff to look forward to. Maybe some changes will be made for the Bears in the next year or two. I'm sure it takes a little bit of time to actually make a difference in your organization, unless you're like being completely brutal and stuff. But I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of moving parts to actually get one thing that you want changed. I'm sure it's not just like, hey, do this. I mean, I'm sure it could be that way, but that's not usually how things work. We have Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta selected as a site for the potential Bills and Chiefs AFC Championship game. So it is going to be held at a neutral zone, which is good. I was kind of worried it was going to have to go to Arrowhead. And it's nothing against the Chiefs, but that whole like debacle is just kind of bad. Let's just be honest. That's going to be a good game. The Chiefs defense will be their biggest downfall. And the Bills offense of having somewhat inconsistency, and they're not super inconsistent, but enough that they can win or lose games, that could be their downfall as well. It says that Jalen Hurts is actually dealing with a shoulder injury, so it's a good thing they're on the bye week. But with that being said, that could still affect him though next week. I don't know if he would start or not. So Jets owner Woody Johnson says, quote, absolutely willing to pay for veteran quarterback. No playoff mandate for 2023. Offense are just one-sided on the offense. And there's been a few games where Tua just hasn't looked good at all. And I really don't think Tua's the answer. I think injuries and now the concussions, the games he was doing good in, has really good talent to where even mediocre quarterbacks can prevail very, very well. And I think they actually need to get at least a decent, consistent quarterback in there, and hopefully not like an injury-prone quarterback either. And I hate to say that to Tua. I mean, he just can't help the injuries, right? I mean, it's something that you try to avoid getting hit. He is a quarterback, and so he's going to be the most protected player on the field besides possibly a kicker. And sometimes you just got to take the injuries. Sometimes it just happens, right? It's a collision sport, so it's too bad they actually don't hit harder. But it says here for any Chargers fans, it says that wide receiver Mike Williams is questionable because of a back injury and might not play against the Jaguars. Lamar Jackson still has an inflated knee, and he came out quoting saying, I can't give 100% of myself to my guys. So I think that might be a red flag to where he might not be starting this week against the Bengals. But I don't think they would win against the Bengals. I mean, they still could, regardless if they have Lamar or not. But even if he did start, I would still pick the Bengals to win. I just would. I think the Bengals want it more, just in general. And, oh, this is good to see. As a Patriots fan, they announced that they are going to be extending linebacker coach Jared Mayo, and they were going to begin looking at offensive coordinator interviews. Let's go! We need a better offensive coordinator, that's for sure.
They've been showing their best coverages on third down. So far, only allowed one conversion on a handful of attempts. One area of their game plan that they've executed to perfection.
Succop's kick is good.